I'll never forget the day I walked into Sinclair Dynamics with my mop and bucket, just another quiet morning in my navy blue uniform. My name's Delilah Monroe. I'm 48, and for the past 15 years, I've been the woman nobody notices, the cleaning lady who moves silently through executive corridors while the city of Chicago bustles below. The polished shoes, the expensive perfumes, the egos wrapped in $3,000 suits, they all passed by me like I didn't exist. To them, I was background noise, a flicker in the periphery. That is, until the day I decided I'd had enough. It all started with a spilled cup of coffee, hazelnut, medium roast, right by the elevators. And a laugh. A cruel, booming laugh that echoed down the hallway like a taunt. It came from the CEO himself, Grayson Lang. I'd heard that laugh before, plenty of times. Usually followed by someone being let go. But this time, it was different. This time, it was aimed at me. "Clean it up, Grandma," Grayson barked, not bothering to hide the sneer. His cronies burst into laughter. The kind that curdles your blood. I stood frozen, mop in hand, the heat rising to my face. My fingers tightened around the wooden handle. I didn't respond. I just lowered my eyes, pushed the mop forward, and swallowed the rage like I'd done for years. But something shifted that day. That night, as I wandered the offices alone, my cart creaking behind me, I paused in Grayson's corner office. The skyline glowed beyond the glass. Coffee-stained papers littered his desk, discarded with the same carelessness he used on people. I'd watched him shred financial documents more than once. I'd seen the way he smiled when HR sent out another batch of layoff notices. He called it trimming the dead weight. I called it something else. I wasn't always just a cleaning lady. 15 years ago, when I was still figuring out life after a failed marriage and a collapsed career dream, my uncle, Harvey Monroe, passed away. Harvey was a big-time investor and quietly left me something no one knew about, a substantial chunk of stock in Sinclair Dynamics. At the time, I didn't know what to do with it. I was broke, tired, and trying to make ends meet. So I kept working. I stayed quiet. And I watched. But after that humiliation in the lobby, something awakened in me. That night, I called Thomas Reyes, a longtime friend and an attorney. "It's time," I told him, voice low over a late-night phone call. The next day, we met at a diner in South Loop, a greasy spoon joint where no one from Sinclair would dare show their face. Over fries and coffee, I laid it all out: Grayson's misconduct, the layoffs, the cover-ups, the shredded documents. Tom leaned forward, eyes gleaming. "Delilah," he said, "do you realize what this means? With your shares, you're the majority stakeholder. You could remove him." I blinked, stunned by the truth I'd carried unknowingly for years. Then I nodded. "I'm ready." That week, I started gathering. Every night while I worked, I took pictures, shredded documents, printed emails, memos stuffed into trash bins. I found one email where Grayson called the janitorial staff subhuman. Another where he bragged about firing a single mom so he could save the company enough for a new conference table. I took it all to Tom. By the time the shareholder meeting rolled around, we had a mountain of evidence and legal standing. Tom was ready. I was ready. Grayson? He was about to be caught mid-smirk. That morning, I walked into Sinclair as usual, bucket rattling, head down. I passed by people who didn't even glance in my direction. The boardroom was packed: suits, ties, coffee cups, spreadsheets. Grayson stood at the head like a king, commanding the room. The others laughed politely at his jokes, hung on his words. I waited in the hallway until I got the text from Tom. Now, I pushed the door open and walked in with my cart. Every head turned. A few chuckled. "What's she doing here?" Grayson demanded, his voice dripping with arrogance. "This isn't a maintenance meeting." I stepped forward, folder in hand. "I'm not just maintenance, Grayson," I said calmly. "I'm the majority shareholder in Sinclair Dynamics." The room went dead silent. Grayson let out a theatrical laugh. "Is this a joke? Delilah, go clean the lobby." I placed the folder on the table and opened it. "These are financial discrepancies. Unauthorized layoffs. Harassment claims. All signed by you." Faces paled. Whispers stirred. "I own more voting shares than anyone in this room," I continued. "And effective immediately, you're fired." Grayson's smile faltered. He looked around for support. No one moved. "You can't do this," he snarled. Tom stepped in, paperwork in hand. "She can." And she just did. The silence broke into chaos. Grayson stormed out, his face red with fury. I stayed still, grounded in a calm I hadn't felt in years. "I won't let this company be a playground for tyrants anymore," I told the board. And starting today, we begin treating every single employee like they matter. Applause. Hesitant at first, then louder. The cleaning crew hugged me in the hallway. One whispered, "We never thought anyone would stand up for us." By the end of the day, news had spread. Cleaning lady overthrows CEO blared across headlines. Regulators launched investigations. Grayson's accounts were frozen. His yacht? Seized. Social media lit up with memes of his downfall. He became a punchline. The next morning, I walked into Sinclair not in a uniform, but in jeans and a blazer. People smiled. Really smiled. I stopped by the break room and handed out new gloves to the janitorial crew. "You're getting raises," I told them. "And proper hours." One of them, Miguel, hugged me. "My daughter saw you on TV. She said she wants to be like you." I smiled. "Tell her to be better than me." We set up suggestion boxes. The first one asked for more coffee. I ordered 3 new machines. We changed the way Sinclair operated. No more layoffs to boost stock value. No more shredding accountability. A few weeks later, Grayson appeared on a cable news show, ranting about how a sneaky janitor stole his company. The host played footage of him trashing his office. The internet had a field day. His reputation crumbled. His allies fled. Last I heard, he was selling condos in Arizona. But me? I stayed. I worked. I led. And I never picked up that mop again because I didn't need it anymore. My voice was enough. I wasn't a janitor. I was a force. And I finally made them see me. The weeks that followed were anything but quiet. Sinclair Dynamics had become the center of a national conversation about class, dignity, power, and the people we overlook every day. I was no longer just Delilah, the cleaning lady. I was the woman who'd fired the most feared CEO in Chicago, live in front of the board. But with the spotlight came shadows. One evening, as I left the office after finalizing our new employee protection policies, I noticed a black SUV idling across the street. No license plates. No driver visible. The same car showed up again the next day. And the next. I knew it wasn't coincidence. Tom called me the following morning. His voice was low, urgent. "Delilah, I've confirmed it. Grayson hired a private firm to dig up dirt on you. He's not done." I didn't flinch. I just exhaled. "Let him dig," I said. "There's nothing to find. But I'm not hiding either." Still, I took precautions. Extra security. Cameras. Guards posted at night. Not for me, but for the people who worked in that building. I wasn't going to let Grayson's poison touch them again. Then came the subpoena. Grayson was suing. Again. This time he claimed emotional damages and fraudulent misrepresentation. It was desperate. The kind of lawsuit filed by a man with nothing left but rage. We showed up to court, me in a navy blazer and slacks, no mop this time, but the same quiet fire in my chest. Grayson sat across the aisle, looking thinner, paler, but his eyes still burned with entitlement. His lawyer called me a liar, a manipulator. Said I seduced the board with theatrics and low-class vengeance. I smiled and took the stand. "I didn't seduce anyone," I said calmly. "I told the truth. I exposed theft. I protected good people. And I reminded everyone here that a janitor is still a human being." The judge's gavel echoed like a drumbeat. Case dismissed. Outside the courthouse, a group of Sinclair employees waited for me. Some had tears in their eyes. Others held signs that read, "We stand with Delilah." I walked through them, not like a celebrity, but like a captain returning to her ship. But the highest moment hadn't come yet. That Friday, we held our first all-staff meeting under my leadership. I stood on the auditorium stage, not behind a podium, but among the people. No teleprompter. No rehearsed lines. Just truth. "I know what it's like to feel invisible," I began, my voice steady. "To mop the floors while people step around you like you're part of the building. But we are not furniture. We are not noise. We are the backbone of this company. And from this day on, Sinclair Dynamics will operate with one unshakable value: respect." Applause thundered across the room. I continued. "No more silent suffering. No more pay gaps between the top floor and the ground floor. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be safe. You deserve to be heard." I announced a new employee equity fund. Paid family leave. Full benefits for custodial, cafeteria, and night shift workers. The crowd stood, clapping, not just for me, but for each other. Later that night, I sat alone in the CEO's office, my office, watching the lights of Chicago dance on the windows. I pulled open the drawer where Grayson used to keep his cigars. Inside, tucked away beneath some dusty folders, was a letter. Unopened. It had my name on it, in my Uncle Harvey's handwriting. I held my breath and unfolded it. Delilah, if you're reading this, then you found your way back to yourself. I always knew you would. This company isn't just numbers and glass walls. It's people. It's souls. And it needs someone who remembers that. Don't let them change you. You were born to lead quietly, but powerfully. Uncle Harvey. Tears fell before I realized they were coming. I stayed in the office until well past midnight, not because I had work to do, but because I didn't want to miss that moment of peace, of fulfillment, of standing exactly where I was meant to be. The next day, I met Miguel's daughter, Sophia. She ran up to me in the lobby, eyes wide, notebook in hand. Ms. Monroe, she said shyly, I wrote something for school. It's called The Woman Who Changed Everything. Can I read it to you? I knelt beside her and nodded. She read aloud, voice soft but full of pride. It wasn't just about me. It was about the janitors, the receptionists, the guards, and all the people she'd seen grow stronger because someone believed in them. When she finished, I hugged her and whispered, "You just gave me the greatest gift of all." Sinclair Dynamics didn't just become more ethical. It became human. Years from now, maybe they won't remember my name. Maybe I'll fade back into the background where I once lived. But I'll know this. I changed something. I stood up. I fought back. And I won, not just with power, but with patience, with dignity, with the truth. Sometimes, the most dangerous revolution begins with a mop, a memory, and a woman who refuses to stay invisible. And that, right there, is the sweetest kind of justice.